Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Was Otsutsuki King. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also stay in tune because I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius, so stay in tune for that guys. And over on Anime King 2, I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a God Amongst Men. And I'm also going to be posting What If Naruto Pushed Himself to His Limit. So stay tuned for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And remember to comment down below and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro. So the last time we left off, UJ woke up as she was in an unfamiliar place. As she went downstairs to see Mito, as she was at Naruto's house, she was surprised as she wondered what happened last night. As Mito had to run off after saying hi to her, as she had to go and train with Jiraiya. As Naruto was the one that knocked her out, he saw that she needed some sleep. Besides knocking her out, she did have a nice sleep tonight because she couldn't go home, seeing that she remembered Hayate every time she went home, so it was really hard on her, as she wished Naruto luck on the upcoming Chunin exams. The day finally came, as Mito was wondering where was Naruto, and Sasuke. Neither of them were here. But Sasuke and Kakashi were coming back, as they did some last minute preps. The Raikage wanted to see this Naruto Uzumaki, as the way Samui and the others talk about him, it sounds like he's one impressive kid. Orochimaru was disguised as a Kazekage, as the Raikage intend to see the fights. The first match that went on was Shikamaru and Temari. Shikamaru gave up on the last part because he was low on chakra, so Temari was the winner. But they saw Shikamaru's excellent strategy and he liked it, how smart the Nara boy was. Mito was then supposed to fight Neji, as she couldn't believe that he wasn't here looking around for him. She then heard him in her mind. As she looked up to see Naruto in mid-air, he was flying high above the stands. As she asked him what he's doing, but he told her to not worry about it, he's watching her. So with that, she faced off against Neji, and she beat senses in him, showing him that nothing is tied to any fate. As Neji wondered before he collapsed, was his fate wrong? As Mito was the winner of the match. Naruto then crit a clone in mid-air as he came down. As everyone was surprised, was he just flying? As he couldn't believe what they were seeing. Naruto started his match with Yujito, as she was wondering what is going on, because he wasn't fighting her. He was distracted, as he then told her that they are no longer enemies. Sasuke and Kakashi then arrived to see Naruto down there fighting, as Naruto contacted with Sasuke in his mind and told him that something's about to happen and protect Mito, as he said that a spear made from pure lightning teared through the Kage's box. It came from Naruto's clone in mid-air as it ripped through Orochimaru's chest. Orochimaru managed to slip out of his mouth though, as he grabbed the Hokage and jumped towards the academy roof with his 4 ninjas as they placed up the barrier. But Naruto was planning something else, as that attack wasn't supposed to kill him though. The invasion then started, although it was a bit rushed, as Jiraiya summoned his toads and started to crush all of the giant snakes. As Naruto went to find Mito, as she told him that she didn't want to go back, because if it was up to him he could force her to go back, but she wanted to fight and protect the village. Besides, what would the people say if they saw their future Hokage running? Yujiro arrived and told him that she would watch over her. As Naruto finally relented, as he went off to find Sasuke in the woods, as Sasuke was about to be killed by Gaara, who was in his transformed state. As Sasuke dealt a lot of damage to Gaara, but he kept on healing. Naruto then kicked Gaara away with so much force. Gaara, knowing that this was the real battle to come up, he exploded in sand, releasing the giant Shikaku. Naruto told Sasuke to stay back as Sasuke saw veins at the side of Naruto's face as he started to fly up in the air. It was the same as the Hyugas, as Shikaku slowly opened his eyes and let out a giant roar. So yeah guys, that was basically the last where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself, so let's start this new episode. Sasuke was sent sailing away from the roar that Shikaku released. As he came to a stop on the ground, he looked up to see Naruto still floating in front of the beast. Shikaku released another scream of joy. He was finally free. Sasuke then felt something. The moment he twitched, he was surrounded by 5 Stone Ninjas. As the leader of the small group stepped forward, Lord Orochimaru instructed us to get you back to him. You're coming with us. You're in no shape to fight, so don't make this hard on yourself. Sasuke slowly picked up himself as he activated his 3-totem Sharingan. Even though he was rather weak at the moment, he still wouldn't make them take him. The leader chuckled. Well, Orochimaru did say to get you back to him, but he didn't say anything about roughing you up. The moment they moved forward, a flash of lightning could be seen as all of them collapsed down to the ground. Sasuke was surprised when he saw the man standing in front of him. The bulky man. It was the Raikage. The Raikage looked back at Sasuke. You okay, boy? He asked. Sasuke slowly nodded as the Raikage turned to see Naruto float in the air. The Raikage saw the giant Shikaku as he told the rest of the Kumo squads to help out with Konoha and eliminate the enemy forces. But he wanted to see what is so special about this boy. For someone like him, someone his age, to be standing up against a giant tail beast, showing no fear, right in his face, the Raikage wasn't going to intervene. He wanted to see what the boy was truly made of. As Sasuke turned to see Naruto facing off against the beast as well, he also wanted to see. Meanwhile, Sarutobi was in the dome as he was facing off against the first and the second. Orochimaru summoned a third coffin, but it then poofed away as he did something reverse sealing it. As Sarutobi did not understand, but Orochimaru merely chuckled. As Sarutobi saw the giant Shikaku, Orochimaru smirked. It looks like everything is going towards plan, he said. You're wrong. Naruto is over there. And I have 100% faith that Shikaku won't come anywhere near the village. Orochimaru chuckled a bit. Even if that does happen, I still have precautions to deal with him. What precautions, Sarutobi asked. Well, you won't find out because you will be dead, Orochimaru said, as the first and the second went back on the onslaught. Meanwhile, Shikaku narrowed his eyes as Naruto was standing right in front of him. Neither of them had made a move. So you're the insignificant creature that has been releasing that chakra. It is quite similar to someone I once knew, but still, you're nothing like him. You're just a puny brat. Naruto looked at Shikaku. I'm disappointed. Shikaku narrowed his eyes. So this is the power that the tail beast has. Well, it's not. Really to say to the others, you just have one tail. Compared to the 9 tails, you're nothing but a pathetic raccoon. Shikaku's eyes sharpened deadly as he released a loud chuckle with a lot of malice in it. He then opened his mouth as a burst of wind smashed into Naruto, sending Naruto sailing down to the ground. The moment Naruto smashed into it, Shikaku rained down sand bullets as he started to chuckle like a madman. Come back after this, brat, he said. But he then felt a surge of chakra as the sand bullets were blown away. Shikaku glared down at Naruto, who started to float up again. As Shikaku narrowed his eyes, looking at Naruto's eyes, those eyes are different from the old man's. They look like the Rinnegan, but yellow, and that blue texture behind it. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. I'll still slaughter you, human, Shikaku said, as he slammed his hand on his stomach, releasing another massive burst of air. Naruto raised his hand up in the air as an ice shield came and blocked it. Shikaku then released another massive burst of air that cracked the ice shield, but Naruto was no longer there. Shikaku's eyes then went wide when Naruto appeared in front of him, his leg raised high in the air. But Shikaku didn't expect this to happen. Naruto's leg slammed into the side of Shikaku's face. Even the Raikage was shocked as his eyes went wide, and so did Sasuke. Shikaku was sent sailing back through the forest. is landing, destroying many trees. The Raikage was beyond shock. What is this, boy? He said. For someone to just kick a tail beast like that. Before Shikaku could come to a complete stop, Naruto plummeted right into his stomach, causing Shikaku to wince out in pain. But Shikaku then smirked as his sand started to come off of him as they turned to small bullets and started to dig into Naruto's skin, smashing him back, a lot of them. Naruto was sent crashing down into the ground once more. Shikaku then slammed his hand on the ground. I don't know what you are, but once I seal you away, you won't be here to stop me and I can slaughter the rest of the humans. Naruto tried to fly up, but the sand grabbed onto him, pulling him down tight. As it wrapped onto him tight, as Naruto just looked at Shikaku with no fear in his eye. Shikaku smirked. Get out of this one. Pyramid ceiling. Ultimate sand. As his hands turned into pure sand that rushed towards Naruto. A massive force came from Naruto that blew all of the sand away. Shikaku then watched the boy vanish. Shikaku tried to find him, but it was no use. He then felt his tail being grabbed. As Shikaku's eyes went wide when he was lifted up off the ground. As his entire body was thrown straight deeper into the forest by Naruto. He came to another deadly crash. He cursed. How is this possible? How can one mere human do this to me? What is he? Shikaku said as he picked up himself. No, you won't stop me from slaughtering the humans. All of you despicable creatures must die, Shikaku said. You have a real hatred towards human. I wonder why. Other than you, I've only met 2 other tail beasts. They seem to be different. But you're just a psychopath. You're the one that turned Gaara into that mindless, bloodlust creature. Just to make him slaughter humans. Humans deserve to be slaughtered. Why is that, Naruto asks? Because they're below us. We tail beasts rule above them, and they treat us like we're the animals that we must be sealed. You are the ones that are supposed to be sealed, said Shikaku, and you're no exception. After I kill you, I'm going to kill everyone in the village there. And also your little sister. As Naruto's eyes sharpened, I saw her through Gaara's eyes. What was her name again? Yes, I remember it quite well. Her name was Mito, wasn't it? I'm going to enjoy ripping out her insides. Shikaku then watched Naruto turn as he started to fly away. Running? You scared? But he then saw Naruto stop as Naruto was just creating a distance between them. Naruto raised his hand in the air. Shikaku looked up in shock. What is that? He said. As a large black spike started to form in the air. That was the size of probably 20 trees combined. Shikaku looked at it. What is that? He said to him. As Naruto didn't respond, just thrust it forward. Shikaku brought up the sand, but to his surprise, the rod negated all of the sand, just tearing right through it, as it ripped right through Shikaku's shoulder. He cried out in pain and agony, as this is hurting him on a tremendous level. He collapsed down, as he was terribly in bad shape already, just from one of them. Another giant spike came from the air and lodged itself into his tail. He released a menacing scream, as Sasuke had to close his ears from where he was. The Raikage was just shocked, impressed, and a little worried at the same time. What exactly is this boy to be able to take on a tail beast like that, like it's nothing? I have had enough, Shikaku said, as he held up his mouth. Suddenly, a small black ball started building in front of him. I'm gonna disintegrate you and everything else in my path. As he then waited until a Bichu bomb was completely formed. Try this, he said. He released a massive Bichu bomb. The Raikage narrowed his eyes. If anything, he will have to flash away from here, taking this Uchiha boy with him as well. But the Raikage watched Naruto simply hold up his hand. The people of the village were getting scared as they saw the massive death ball coming towards the village. As most of them saw were the expert ninjas. As Yuji could see Naruto a distance away, standing in front of that ball, she started to worry. As she then saw it, everyone did. The moment the ball made contact, a blue spear appeared on Naruto's palm. It started to absorb the ball, making it smaller and smaller. Shikaku's eyes went wide. What is this? How is this possible? "What are you doing?" Shikaku said. But Naruto still didn't answer him. As Naruto didn't stop, smoke coming from his palm. As a wicked smile came on his face. As he launched into the ground like a rocket. The moment his hand touched the ground, massive wooden spikes came from the ground. Shikaku cried out in pain as they ripped through his body. As they held him down rather tight. Shikaku tried to move but he couldn't, as Naruto appeared right on his stomach. Shikaku sent out sand from his stomach to try and grab Naruto. "Take back your energy," Naruto said, as he released a beam that was constructed purely from the Biju ball, mixed with some of his chakra. Shikaku's eyes could only go wide, as a giant hole was ripped through his stomach. As you could literally see right through him, the sand was completely gone, as his body was just left with a giant hole in it. He released a loud cry that people in the village had to cover their ears, as he was in tremendous pain, as he still couldn't move. For the first time, Shikaku felt fear, as he looked at one human that was able to put him into this state, as he couldn't believe it. Looking up at Naruto, who was just looking at him with those eyes, it scared him. As Shikaku felt his body slowly start to crumble away, can't maintain his form, as he know if he crumble away right now, Gar will die, because this boy will waste no time hesitating in killing him. Well, he would reform somewhere else. But with his body so damaged, could he reform his chakra? As he glared up at Naruto, but Naruto wasn't done yet. "You said you were going to hurt my sister, huh? I see you as nothing but a prime beast who needs to be wiped off the face of this earth." Shikaku's eyes went wide when Naruto raised his hand in the air, a Rasengan form that got large, until a screeching sound could be heard, wind forming around it. The right Kage looked up in the distance away, as he could see the ball, the massive ball. People of Konoha could see it. The ninjas could feel the amount of power coming from that one ball, as they knew that this boy was strong, but to be able to do things like that, most of them in the village couldn't even fight a tail beast, but the boy was taking him on with so much ease. As Naruto released the Rasengan Shuriken that spiraled straight down right into the center of Shikaku's stomach, it then expanded outwards, disintegrating every piece of sand in its path, shredding it into nothingness. Shikaku cried out in pain as the rest of his body dematerialized, as he just turned to pure sand and vanished. Gaara fell out of his forehead and dropped into a comfortable pool of sand, as Shikaku's consciousness was pushed straight into Gaara's seal. It will take a long time before he can wake up again. As the Raikage, now knowing that this boy could basically destroy an entire nation from just seeing how the boys fight, and something was just strange. It seemed like he was holding back a lot. The Raikage was surprised, because in all of his years he has never seen a shinobi who just displays this kind of power. As the boy has Mokiton, he has affinity that can use without weaving hand signs. He created a large spear that can hurt a Biju, and cause it so much pain, and not to mention Shikaku's body is made up of sand. That is showing something. Sasuke, who was watching as well, was surprised. In all of their time training, Naruto has never went nowhere near to all out on him. As he understands why now, Naruto would kill him in probably seconds. As the Raikage was at loss for words as well. Naruto landed right in front of the downed Gaara. Gaara opened his eyes slowly. "No, no, 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 no," he said, as Naruto was marching towards him, rather slowly, making him scared. "You won't erase my existence," Gaara said, as he started to back away from Naruto. He could feel the amount of sand on the ground. He waved his hand as a wave of sand rushed towards Naruto. But Naruto simply stomped his feet on the ground, channeling chakra. Ice started to spread out, freezing the sand into an ice cube. Gaara was shocked as he couldn't feel his sand anymore. He started to crawl away until he backed up into a tree. As frightened, scared, everything was on his face, as he could see himself dying. "No, no," Gaara said. But the moment Naruto reached him, Naruto picked him up at the face, smashing his head right through the tree. Gaara cried out in pain as Naruto smashed his body right through a large boulder. Gaara now on the ground in excruciating pain. Naruto lifted up Gaara's shirt. "You think I was done with you," he said. His hand started to glow blue, as it was surrounded by his chakra. So much force, he smashed it on Gaara's seal. Gaara was then crying out in intense pain, as he could feel it was like the seal was being ripped off of him. "I'm coming for you," Naruto said, as Gaara started to scream out as loud as he can. Suddenly, there was a blue mass of chakra starting to pool out of Gaara. As it was in Naruto's palm, he was ripping out the Shikaku out of him. Gaara started to cry as he couldn't do anything. His body was banged up badly as he was just there crying, leaving eye waters were pooling out of his eyes. As he begged, as he could see his life flashing in front of him, his existence were being taken away. "Please stop," a voice cried out. As Temari rushed over, Naruto stopped just for a second. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "I know what we did was wrong. Please, don't kill him," she begged. As Naruto saw her crying in front of him, knowing that she couldn't fight him, she dropped to her knees. As she was on her knees begging, bowing her head to him. "I beg for your mercy," she said. As Naruto looked towards her, Gaara still in tremendous pain. Temari looked up at him with pleading eyes, tears soaking her shirt, as she knew that if he does this, her brother will die. "We were being manipulated by Orochimaru. We never know. Please, don't take him away from me. He's my brother. I need him," she said. The moment she said that, Naruto's mind flashed towards Mito, as it was like the same kind of relationship. Even though Gaara was a bit psychotic, he was still her brother. As Naruto looked towards her, not saying anything, as she kept on pleading with him, but he wasn't really listening to her. "I will do anything. Just please don't kill him," she said. "Please," she kept on begging. As Naruto looked down at Gaara, tears pooling out of his eyes, as the extraction was really difficult on his body. Naruto released his hand as the chakra flew back into Gaara. "Leave now," said Naruto, as Temari nodded. As Kankuro landed, a bit bruised up, but he was fine. As the both of them quickly picked up Gaara, without saying another word, they hightailed it out of there. Naruto then looked at his arm, as a seal appeared and started to glow. It was a seal connected to Mito, as he gave it to her. When she was in trouble, she channeled chakra to it, and he would see it. He simply flashed away. The Raikage was just standing there in amazement. This kid not only defeated the Shikaku, but he was just about to rip the tail beast out of him. The Raikage didn't even know what to do at that point, as he guessed he must go back to the village now. The invasion was probably over the sun, and the sound has lost dramatically, especially if this kid is on their side. As the Raikage could only think about the future now. If this kid was to become an enemy, what would the world look like? He didn't know why, but he could just feel that there was something else that the kid was holding back and not showing. As Sasuke was already gone, heading back to the village, knowing that Naruto was probably going back there. Naruto arrived on top of the Academy's tower. The barrier was still up. He came to see Mito crying as he rushed over to her. Yu-Jeo and a couple envoys were standing next to her. As Naruto rushed over, "What happened? What's wrong with you?" he asked. "It's not me," she said. As Naruto then noticed inside of the barrier. For a second there, Naruto went blank. His eyes was just focused on that body on the ground. Memories flashed through his head. Him and young Mito. The both of them, with the old man, going to Ichiraku Ramen. The old man talking to them, showing them around the village. Him treating them well. Him and the old man playing shogi, having fun. All of those memories flashed through his head. As Naruto looked at the dead body on the ground. Orochimaru, as his hands looked badly disfigured, was standing over a dead Sarutobi. As Naruto didn't say anything, Naruto's eyes snapped around the barrier and saw 4 people. That red-haired girl, that fat one, the one that looked similar to a spider, and that other one with 2 heads. Suddenly, the academy building started to shake. Everyone was blown away, including Mito, as Yujiro had to jump up and caught her. As the entire building started to rumble, a force washed over Konoha, as the people of the village could feel the power, as some of them felt like this was even worse than the bloodlust from the Kyuubi. Even normal civilians started to faint. Orochimaru was inside the barrier, started to sweat as his eyes fall on Naruto. Naruto Cole, uncaring eyes fall on him. "Big brother, stop!" Mito cried out. Naruto then turned and saw that Mito and the others were in danger because of his chakra being released this wildly. He calmed himself slowly and looked around the barrier. Mito released her breath. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked. I'm fine," she said. "We can't let him leave. He must pay for what he did," she said, glaring at Orochimaru. Orochimaru was still inside the barrier. Teiwaya, Kidomaru, Jirobo, and Seikon, all of them were sweating. The amount of power they just felt was something abnormal. How were they going to escape? Orochimaru then smiled when Kabuto landed outside the barrier. "Summoning Jutsu," Kabuto said, as a coffin came from the ground. This was a coffin that Orochimaru used and reverse summoned earlier. Suddenly the barrier dropped. Naruto stepped forward, but the coffin lid burst open as a person stepped outside, stopping Naruto in his tracks. Mito looked at Naruto and wondered who was this woman. As Mito saw her right here, she slowly opened her eyes. That seems rather lifeless. Until Kabuto applied a kunai to the back of her head, as he then leaped back. Orochimaru then chuckled, the sound force surrounding him. "Ah, so you know who she is, right?" said Orochimaru, as this was his only way to get out of here. This was the only plan he came up with right now, because he knew that if Naruto was to get his hands on him now, he'd probably die. His hands has been sealed away by the old man. At least he died, Orochimaru thought to himself. "Big brother, who is that?" Mito? Naruto? The woman said. As Naruto looked at her, "It is you guys," she said, as she stepped forward, but then she came to a stop. "What's wrong with me?" she said. She couldn't move anymore. "Ah, Kushina," said Orochimaru. Kushina heard the voice turn around. The first thing she saw was Sarutobi's dead body, as she gasped. She then saw Orochimaru. "You snake," she said. "Are you behind this?" "Of course I am," he said. "But I brought you here to see your child." "Her child?" As Mito was even more confused. "Well, Naruto didn't tell your sister. I thought you didn't even know about it either, but judging from your expression and the way you stopped, you know that this is Mito's mother." "My mom?" Mito said, confused. "Big brother, is he right?" As Kushina gave Mito a small smile. "But why wouldn't he say our mom?" "Because you're not related," Orochimaru said. "You should know. You and Naruto aren't even real brothers. He's neither your father or your mother's son." Mito was frozen by that, as she looked at Naruto, as he didn't turn to face her. Judging from the emotion she could feel, it was true. As Mito was just surprised. "Mito," said Kushina as she stepped forward. "Mom?" As Mito just looked at her, not even knowing what to feel right now. "Well, as much as I would enjoy this reunion," Orochimaru said, a little chuckle. As a sound force grabbed him, Orochimaru started to back away with them. As his eyes landed on Naruto one more time, for the brief second their eyes made contact, Orochimaru felt death. He could see it, just from that look alone. But the sound force quickly started to run with the Onbus chasing after them. As a lot of sound ninjas who were retreating got in the Onbus' ways, allowing Orochimaru to flee away from the village. Kushina then rushed forward, going straight towards attack Mito. As Mito just stood there, "Mito, move!" Kushina screamed out, but she didn't. Kushina then felt a hand placed on her shoulder, stopping her movements. She could feel the body that she was in the chakra start to be sucked out of it. She looked at Naruto and smiled. "My baby boy," she said, happy that he stopped her. "Mito, come here." Mito stepped forward to look at her mother with tears in her eyes. Is it really you, Mom? Yes, it's really me. Even though we didn't meet under the best circumstances, I am so happy I get to see you again. I love you so much. The both of you. And it doesn't matter what you say, Naruto. You'll always be my son, she said. I hope you're protecting your little sister. As Naruto looked at her. Up to this point he hadn't said a word yet. I know, she said. It must be rather strange, knowing that I'm not your real mother. But despite everything, me and your father loves you. We love the both of you. And the both of you are still brother and sister. He has been taking care of me, said Mito. He's the best big brother I could ever ask for. Well, that's good. It seems this body I'm in, it's gonna go away soon. I just want to tell the both of you that we love you, despite everything. Never forget that. As Naruto was sucking away the chakra from the body, as it started to crack away, as her soul was released from the body, the both of them just looking up at it. She gave them a final smile and a goodbye wave, as her soul then vanished. Mito just stood there, not knowing what to say, as she then looked at Naruto. Well, her big brother. As he wasn't her real big brother after all. But that doesn't change anything, does it? But after all these years, he has been risking his life to protect her, and doing everything for her, when you're not even real family. Why should he continue to do anything for her? Mito, But the moment Naruto turned around, Mito was already jumping away, going towards Yujeo. As Naruto never wanted her to find out this way. A lone tear slipped from his eyes. A lot of things happened today. The old man, his sister, seeing his adopted mother, as he knew that she loved him very much. Everything was a lot. And seeing the old man's dead body right there. Time skip. 3 days later. The village was slowly starting reconstruction after the event that happened. The Sound and Sand ninjas were quickly fled from the village. Orochimaru managed to escape. The Sand siblings got back home. The funeral happened a day after for Sarutobi. The village was in a grieving process right now. People were also grateful towards Naruto for what he did, as many saw him take on the giant Shikaku and save the entire village. In the 3 days that passed, Naruto hasn't talking to Mito, as he realized that she needed to think things over. It was hard for her to believe that after all these years, he was not her real brother. Well, she didn't hate him or anything like that. She blamed herself, as she was always so spoiled towards him. Even though her mother said that they were still brother and sister. It was strange. As Mito made her way home, it was still sad what happened to the old man, as she cried a lot in the past 3 days, going at his funeral and everything. She didn't even see her brother there. Yes, it didn't matter what, he was still her brother, as she hadn't seen him, as she wondered if he was giving her time to think over things. But despite that, she has been having comfort by her friends Ino and everyone. They have been there for her. All of them had come together. As she was lying on the bed, she heard a knock on her door. Come in, she said. As Naruto slowly made his way into the room, as he looked over at her, she quickly sit up. You're here, she said. I didn't see you at the funeral. I was there, but I kept my distance. You know, you can't cry in front of people, even though I never see you cry before. That's the reason, right? You never came because you didn't want to cry in front of people. As tears start to form up in her eyes. We have lost so much. We had the old man. We lost both of our parents when we were younger. And I became spoiled towards you, making it look like you were much more than my brother, like you were actual father to me. You did everything for me, and I was also spoiled. Even though I know you love me, I still took things for granted. But now we found out that we're not even fully related. So what does that? As Naruto looked at her. What is it, she said, as she saw him giving her that blank stare. As Naruto stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. Mito, the reason I wasn't there is because I'm sad. Everything that has happened, it is breaking me slowly. To see the old man's body, it was hard for me. I know it was hard for you as well. But I saw that you had Ino, everyone there to comfort you. But I needed my big brother, she said, and I was there. I just didn't know how to step in. I know that when you found out about this, things would change a bit, but I don't know how you... She rushed in and hugged him, cutting him off. We're still family, she said, stuttering. As Naruto placed a hand on her head, rubbing her hair. It doesn't matter what happened, Mito. You're still my little, obnoxious, spoiled sister. Hey, she said. Hey, you were the one that called yourself spoiled. But the other one, she said. As Naruto chuckled, as she smiled, I love you, big brother, she said. I love you too, Naruto said. Time skipped. Later that day, Naruto was on top of the third Hokage's head on the monument, just lying down, looking up straight to the sky. As when you walk around the village now, people see him and wave at him. Most of the little kids and some of the people look at him with admiration in their eyes because of what he did for this village, saving it from Shikaku. He shook his head. As right now, the only thing Naruto was feeling was anger. Despite making up everything with Mito, despite knowing that the both of them will stay family no matter what, it was rage, and all of it was pointing towards Orochimaru. He did all of this. Naruto made a promise to the old man that if anything happened, he will find Orochimaru, and he will kill him and destroy everything that is around him. They attacked Konoha, so destroying this town would be perfect revenge. As Naruto had the exact idea where Orochimaru was. The first lightning spear that he threw, it wasn't meant to kill Orochimaru. It was meant to damage him. But it was also meant to pour some of his chakra into his system. As Naruto could feel his chakra all around the elemental nation, his own chakra. So it was an easy way to find out where Orochimaru is. Suddenly, Yujiro flashed beside him. I didn't see you at the funeral, she said. I was there, Naruto said. Huh? Where? I was there. That is all he said after that. What now, Naruto said. Is there going to be a new Hokage? Well, talkings have been made. But I don't know just yet. How are you feeling, she asked. As she had a talk with the old man, some days before all this happened. As he told her if anything happened, she must watch over Naruto, because his emotion can lead him to do things, dangerous, destructive things. We're friends, right? The both of us? Of course, she said. Seeing that you helped me sleep and get over my grief and sadness a bit, my depression. Yes, we are friends, she said. I'm going to leave the village in 3 days. Huh? Why? She asked. I spoke to the old man before this happened. And I told him, if something like this was ever to happen, I will find Orochimaru and end his life. You're not serious. You can't be thinking about going after Orochimaru at this time. Not just him. The son as well. What do you mean? I'm going to blow up the entire place. She looked at Naruto like he was crazy. What are you talking about? They were the one that first attacked us. So it's justice for them to die as well, right? As she looked at him, not knowing really what to say. I know you're angry. Angry? I'm far from it, Naruto said. The thing is, there is this part of me that wants me to go and kill. This part of me that just scream out for anger. Through all my years, having Mito being picked on and looked down by other parents, it was always there, but it has never felt so wild before. That is why I couldn't come at the funeral to see the old man fully. I was standing there watching, but I couldn't go to face the body. I feel like I was going to lash out, and I don't want Mito to see me this way. Really, I don't want anyone to see me this way. So I have to let it out somehow, and that's by destroying the sound. I know you're strong, but don't worry about me, Naruto said. A perfect replica of me will be here. I asked you if you are friends, and you said yes. So there shouldn't be any argument with me sharing this with you. At least let me come with— No, Naruto said. You'll just get caught up in the crossfire. I know exactly where Orochimaru is, and I'm going to find him and take care of him first. The old man already damaged his hands really badly, I saw it. So it will be pretty easy to kill him. And after that, I'm sure that a lot of people here lost loved ones, ninjas in the attack that were killed by the Sound and Sand ninjas. Why should they go on living and being okay about everything? But you know that it wasn't Sound alone, right? It was the Sand. They were tricked into this. And besides, Orochimaru has tested my faith for the last time. I won't allow him to get away again. There is no stopping this, Eugeo. You said that we're friends. I hope that you know you must keep this to yourself, okay? As she didn't say anything. Time skip. 3 days later. What? Naruto said. I'm going to find a new Hokage and bring her back here, said Jiraiya. Mito is already tagging along with me. Would you like to come as well? As Naruto was outside of his house, as Jiraiya arrived, he told him that he spoke to Mito yesterday, and she agreed to tag along. No, I can't, Naruto said. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes at Naruto. Listen to me, kid. You spoke something about destroying the Sound if anything like this happened. I suggest you don't do anything that's stupid. We have already gone through something difficult. This could cause a backlash if you try to go into their territory and make them come back here. Are you angry? Naruto asked. Am I angry? Yes, I want to know. You always have this expression on your face, like you don't seem mad. But the old man was your sensei, he was the one that teach you. And Orochimaru. And that other one, Tsunade. So to see your own teammate kill your sensei, how are you feeling, Naruto asks. Are you a therapist now, Jiraiya asks. I was just wondering, Naruto said. Of course I'm angry. I want to make Orochimaru pay for what he did. But just don't do anything stupid. I won't, Naruto said. You just make sure to keep an eye on Mito. She is insisting on going with you to find a new Hokage. So, keep your eyes off your damn perverted things and watch my sister on the road. You know I'm a Sanin, right? That doesn't have anything to do with anything, Naruto said, as he walked off. The moment he reached at the door, Mito was already packed. Big brother, she said, as Naruto looked down at her, giving her a smile. You aren't coming, she asked. I'm afraid I can't go, Naruto said. But it should be rather easy for you and him to find whoever you're looking for. As she looked at him. If anything happens, you know what to do, right? Yeah. Send Chakra the seal and you'll be there. As Naruto nodded, as he gave her a hug. Be safe, okay? I will, she said, as she hugged him back. Hey, come on, Jiraiya-sensei, she said. Yeah, I'm coming, he said, as the both of them walked off. As Naruto looked up in the sky. Meanwhile, the hidden cloud. As they arrived back at their village, the Raikage was at his decks. As he was writing a report, he couldn't get his mind off of that kid. To see someone of his age, already that powerful, as the boy has power to rival a Kage level shinobi, and that was just incredible. To take down a Biju just like that, that was more than incredible. Konoha has lost their Hokage, but there is still a peace treaty between the village. Once a new Hokage has been selected, he will have to return back to Konoha for them to create a proper alliance between the two villages. And to ensure that alliance, they could do a political marriage. And that marriage could seal the alliance forever. And he knew who exactly he wanted to get married to one of his kunoichis. A day later, Naruto was at Ichiraku Ramen. As he heard, someone stepped in. The person quickly came up to him and held on to his arm. It has been a while, hasn't it? As it was Ino, she gave him a friendly smile Yes, it has. Are you okay? She asked. I never got to ask you. I saw Mito but you weren't there. I'm fine, he said. Are you okay? Yeah, it has been a tough time, but I'm getting there, she said to him. You know everyone around here see you as a hero now, for what you did for the village. And you being the main hero. I am sure everyone look at Mito the same as well. I hope so, Naruto said. You seem a little off. Are you sure you're okay? Asked Ino. I'm fine, he said. Meanwhile, the real Naruto was dashing through the forest, as he suddenly came to a stop when he heard a scream. It was close to him as he landed on the ground. As he heard the scream intensify, he turned to see a girl. She had short, brown hair with green eyes. As she had bruises all over, her clothes was ripped up as it was barely hanging onto her body. She looked to be no older than 14 or 15. As she wasn't looking at her head, she was looking behind her. As Naruto stood there, when she turned around and their eyes made contact, she quickly dressed back, collapsing on the ground because of the way she was running. She started to scream, "Please, I'm sorry for escaping. Please don't hurt me," she said. As Naruto looked at her confused. "Please, I'm begging you," she said. I will go back. Just don't hurt me." "Who are you?" Naruto said. She looked at him. As she looked at his attire and noticed his headband. You're a ninja." As Naruto slowly nodded. As she quickly latched onto him. I'm begging you. Help us." As tears were streaming down her face. As Naruto noticed small cuts around her body. A lot of bruising. And a tight grip like something was holding onto her throat. As Naruto then heard some laughter coming. 3 bandits arrived. All of them with hungry look in their eyes. He felt the girl squeeze onto him tighter. What do we have here? It seems you have run off and find yourself a little friend. Well, hey there, kid. Why don't you hand over everything you have on you, and we won't kill you." "Did they do this to you?" Naruto asked. As the girl slowly nodded. Can you protect me?" she asked. "Hey kid, didn't you just hear what I said? Scum like you don't deserve to live," Naruto said. "What did you just say?" The middle one stepped forward as he rushed towards Naruto, pulled out a trench knife. Naruto stomped his foot on the ground as a spike came right under the man, tearing him in half. The other 2 looked on in shock as they couldn't believe what they just witnessed. The girl was shocked as well. As Naruto raised his hand, 2 ice spears appear. As he thrust them forward, they tear right through the 2-man's chest as he collapsed dead. The girl moved away from Naruto a bit because she was scared. As Naruto turned towards her, "What happened?" As she was still shaking a bit, he noticed that she was probably in discomfort. He raised his hand as she stepped back in fear. "Please don't hurt." "I'm not going to hurt you," Naruto said. As he placed on her shoulder, she then felt a soothing chakra wash over her body. Her cuts, they slowly were healing. And her bruises, they were vanishing. "How are you?" "You'll be fine in a few seconds." "What happened to you?" he said. "My name is Ariana. We are from the village Nico, a small neighboring village, near to the land of fire. We were traveling in a caravan. It was a lot of us. We were supposed to attend a summit to join the Nico and Syria village together. When we were ambushed by these bandits, they captured us. After a while, she lowered her head. They took advantage of us and enjoyed beating us and just laughing. I managed to escape with the help of my friends. I was going to try and find some people to help us, but then you arrived," she said. "How old are you?" Naruto asked. "I'm 14, she said. Anger flashed across his face. "Where are these bandits?" "No, you have to get someone else. Even though you show strong power right there, there's a lot of them. Over 30 of them." "Show me where the bandits are," Naruto repeated himself, as she looked at him. But guys, we'll be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.